Well, it's the last episode of the show for the week, and of course, I want to specially welcome you to a new month. It's the first day of the month of September 2023. Like I said, this year had moved at a very, very exceptional pace. I mean, it looked like yesterday when we started off with Happy New Year resolution, New Year, New Me. But then I know a lot of people that their New Year resolution did not even get to the end of the first week of January. But then we move on. And this year had actually been the year of, a lot of revelations, a lot of things, different things in Nigeria, in Africa, and around the world. Well, I want to especially welcome you once again. My name is 𝐓𝐴𝐻𝐿, and for the next 50 minutes or thereabouts, I will be here just to allow you to speak. Mine is just to moderate. Today is Friday. You know what that means on the show. In case you're just joining in for the first time, this is the Situation Room. It's a political program that deals with politics, that deals with policies, that deals with, breaking down some of the policies of the government, especially those that does not particularly align with the expectations of the Nigerian people. It's a democracy that we have here. In as much as a lot of people may express reservation about it in terms of the dividends of democracy, in terms of the state of the economy, in terms of the state of security, in terms of the state of infrastructures. But the most important thing is that from 1999 till now, this is about the longest stretch of democracy that we've had since our independence, and that we've not had, the case in Gabon, in Niger, in Burkina Faso, in Sudan. We've not had that in Nigeria. And believe me, even though a lot of people may not particularly agree with this, but I will tell you for a fact that at the worst form of democracy, yes, it's way, way better than the best kind of military government that you may want to imagine. And it's very interesting how Nigerians had all of a sudden, grown sympathetic to military expectations in Nigeria. I don't think a lot of people have an idea of how all of these things work. I mean, I'm a young man, so even if I've not witnessed so much of the military, government in this country, I've met history, I've read, I've seen, I've heard from people, and I want to also think it makes a lot of sense if our leaders can do the right things, fix the right things. I remember I asked Mr. 𝐴𝐻𝐿 𝐷𝐴 yesterday. By the way, Mr. 𝐴𝐻𝐿 𝐷𝐴 is the head of political desk of Guardian newspaper. He joins me on the show every Thursday for in-depth analysis on certain government policies. And I asked him yesterday, I said, is school the only way to throw away a government that is not meeting the demands of democracy? And he said, no, it is not the only way. However, if the leaders don't do the right thing, when we have people that have governed ruled a country for 56 years as a father and as a son, like the case in Gabon, you have the president rather in Rwanda. He's been there for 23 years. You have the president of Eritrea. He's been there for about 34 years. I mean, you have people that have been president of their country for over 30 years, over 40 years. I mean, you look at Ali Bongo, for instance, and you look at how long the Bongo's family have been in charge of the Central African, country of Gabon, over 55 years. I mean, it's a lot of things in a country that's got less than 3 million people in their total population, and they're still complaining, and that country is richly blessed. Yesterday I was going through I just had to just take my time to read up a couple of things about the country, and it's interesting to know how much natural resources that country is blessed with. I mean, the population is not even up to the population of Ekiti states, and then the country, the leaders can still not manage well. And one person had been president himself. He took over from his father about 14 years ago, after the father was there for about 31 years. And you're asking, I mean, I'm not justifying anything, but you look at some of these things and you ask yourself, is this a mental situation? The idea of wanting to be in office forever, wanting to be president forever, it's really, really interesting. And it's a cause of worry for African leaders, especially the ECOWAS, especially the AU. I mean, you ask yourself, as the leadership of the African Union, as the leadership of ECOWAS, what do you say to president that just in their own wisdom chooses to, change the constitution and one time extend maybe one time in office to 8 years, for instance, like, the case of Gabon, there was an election about last week, and the result of the election was keenly contested. In fact, the president Bongo was declared winner to go for another 8 years in office. That would have meant that years, the same family. I mean, it's a sit tight, mentality for some African leaders. And the beauty of democracy is that, people have the options, they have the choice to choose, to re-choose, to learn, to relearn. If you feel a kind of government is not meeting your expectations, you wait for the next calendar year and you throw that government out. We've seen it everywhere. We've seen it even in Nigeria. I mean, when PDP was in power, they boasted that they were going to, rule the country for 60 years. They were going to do this, they were going to do that. Hey, by 2015, they were out of office. For the first time in the history of this country, a democratically elected president actually lost an election. So it's not that it can't happen, especially when, a lot of people don't particularly believe in the electionary process. The result of this election in the country, the one we had on the 25th of February and on the 18th of March, is still being challenged at the courts, both the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. I mean, you ask yourself again, how better can democracy be? Absolutely, it can get better. But at least in this part of the world, in our own country, we don't have leaders that have, well, even though under our former president, 𝐂𝐤𝐴𝐧 𝐒𝐴𝐧, there were rumors of a third-term agenda that probably would have kept him in office for 12 years, rather than the 8 years that the constitution allows. But I mean, we've not had any president that had attempted that. I mean, we've had, Obasanjo, we've had the late Musa Yar'Adua, we've had Goodluck Jonathan, we've had Muhammadu Buhari, and now we have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So we've not had any president that had, shown that, oh, I want to be here forever, I want to be the ruler, the leader. And just like my guest yesterday said, he said, if you want to run a monarchical system of government, let the people know that it's a monarchical system of government. Don't build on the foundation of democracy. You get into office and then, you turn your democracy to a monarchy. I can't remember how somebody called it. He said some African leaders are practicing monarchicatocracy. Exactly. That's the right word. So people come in on the guise of democracy, and then you're just there 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. I mean, how do you even define transition in the first place? When you've been in the same presidential palace for 30 years, you've been around the same palace guard for, I mean, people should, want to do things differently. I mean, that's what you expect. And African leaders need to be intentional about, nurturing democracy sincerely and not hiding under different kind of government that you cannot even put in print and say you're practicing democracy. How can you be president for 34 years or thereabouts, and then you die in office, and then your son takes over, and then he spends 16 years, and then he contests for an election that will keep him for another 8 years, and you keep asking, is it the same set of people? Are they the most intelligent people? I mean, you look at Paul Kagame, for instance, in Rwanda. He's been the president for 23 years. Well, you want to look at stability in the country. You want to look at how, the country had made so much billions of pounds of naira, of dollars rather, from tourism. I mean, you look at Visit Rwanda, they've got a deal with Arsenal, one of the biggest football clubs in the world. They just completed a deal with, I think, one other big club side where, they try to market their country. But again, there's been a lot of allegations of, opposition being silenced in the States. There's been, reports of underground cells. I mean, all of those things are always going to be, going to characterize when people choose to be in office forever. You want to be president for 30 years. How long had Paul Biya been the president of Cameroon? I mean, you just check some of these leaders and you feel, when the people choose to celebrate the abnormal situation, I've seen videos in Gabon, I've seen videos in Niger, I've seen videos in Equatorial Guinea, I've seen videos in Sudan where the people are celebrating the military, coming out on the street publicly to declare their loyalty, to declare, I mean, you sometimes don't blame these people, don't get me wrong. I will continue to say it, and I started that way, that the worst form of democracy is still better than, no matter how you want to define, the military government. But again, you sit back, and then when the people live in penury, and the people that are supposed to lead them are living in luxury, you look at the gap between the governed and the government is getting wider by the day. The governed, becomes like the footmat in the ladder, and then the government becomes the icing on the cake. And it's supposed to be the other way around. You're supposed to be a public servant. When you wanted to contest, you came to meet me. You told me what you want to do. If I can support you, if I can give you, my rights, if I can submit my right to you, and I did. And then you got into office. I'm supposed to be the one you are supposed to serve. Unfortunately, I'm the one serving you. From the little I guess, you still tax me in multiple places, and then you don't even use the money to develop the country. You don't use the money to give me quality education. You don't use the money to provide security for me. You don't use the money to give me health care. You don't use the money to fix infrastructures, low-cost housing estates. You don't do any of that. And then you ride in convoys. You live in palaces. You live in luxury. You buy properties outside of the country, and the people you're governing are living in poverty. So sometimes when you try to put these things side by side, and then you ask yourself again, when the ECOWAS meets and when the African Union, what do they tell the leaders? I mean, somebody comes into the ECOWAS summit or the AU summit, for instance, and then it could barely even stand up. We've seen videos where presidents publicly, they can't even stand, they can't even attend public events, they can't even stand up unaided. I mean, they have to push them around. They have I've seen an African leader on a wheelchair. I mean, it's appalling when people know that, well, my mental health cannot stretch the capacity as the president. You walk away. It's something that a lot of African leaders need to tell themselves the truth. So I'm asking, when the people come together in their summits, whether in Addis Ababa, in Abuja, when they talk about the AU, the ECOWAS, what do they really talk about? I mean, you're comfortable enough as the president of AU or as the chairman of ECOWAS to see a president that has been in office for 35 years, for 42 years, and you don't think it makes a lot of sense for the Council of ECOWAS elders or leaders now to say, Mr. Man, you've been president since 1975. Are you not tired? Yes, every country reserves the rights to their sovereignty. You can't interfere in their government. But then, when you sit down as elders, as leaders, what do you tell yourself? Do you tell yourself the truth? I mean, all through yesterday, especially since after another successful coup in Gabon, and that's the 8th we've seen in Africa in the last 3 years. Out of the 8, 7 have been from the ECOWAS region. Out of the 7, 4 have been very successful. So there's a lot to desire. When you look at the quality of leadership in some of these African countries, then you ask yourself again, is school justified? I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm not saying it's the best thing to do. But hey, when you push the people to the wall, they can't break through the wall. They will turn around and face you. And the consequences can be as bad as being thrown out of your palace, being taken away from your families. Like the Ali Bongo is coming out to say that the entire world should, shout and make noise on his behalf. He's been kept in confinement. He cannot see his wife. He cannot have access to his children. Hey, you've been president. Yourself and your father have been president for over 50 years. Okay, enough said. Let's come back home. Let's talk about Nigeria. 09136000410. I know you've actually been wondering, what exactly are they doing on this program? From Mondays to Thursday is always an engaging conversation. I started this week with the spokesperson of the APC, national youth leader. I mean, we had the conversation last week, Thursday, and then, I needed to close the other side of the conversation, and I brought the spokesperson of the APC national youth leader and another member of the Lagos State Youth Parliament to talk about the expectations of the Nigerian youth in respect to who becomes the Minister of Youths. Of course, on Tuesday, we'll open the conversation. On Monday, the president had his inaugural Federal Executive Council meeting with all of the ministers present. And on Tuesday, I asked everyone, what exactly are you expecting from the ministers? On Wednesday, we had a very strong conversation in respect to what is going on in Edo State. Yes, between the governor, His Excellency Godswill Obaseki, and his deputy, Comrade Philip Shuaibu. There's been, huge issues between both of them. And I had the chairman of the People's Democratic Party Reconciliation Committee for Edo State, and he's also the vice chairman of the PDP in the states, and the chairman of the PDP in in Edo Central Senatorial District. He joined us, Archbishop Anthony Okosun. He joined me on Wednesday, and she told us that don't worry, Edo Central is the next. Edo North have done, Edo South have done. The governor Edo Central is pushing for it, and then he's so sure that the deputy governor that had several times indicated interest to succeed his principal would step down, or probably just jettison his ambition of becoming the president or the governor of the state, because it is not the turn of his senatorial district yet. That was what we talked about on Wednesday. And on Thursday yesterday, Mr. 𝐷𝐼 joined me in the studio, and we focused, spent quite a lot of time on the issue of the leadership crisis in Africa, the coup left, right, and center, and the fact that some of the African leaders are already, making changes in their military setup. The president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, retired. Quite a lot of the, top hierarchy in the military of the country retired. A lot of them, and there's been changes. The affair of the coup should be the beginning of quality leadership. That's the line I would leave you with today. So, which conversation have you followed in the course of the week? Or perhaps you were trying to reach out to us, we couldn't pick your calls, you were sending messages, we couldn't read your messages. Now you have the floor. 09136000410. Let's talk. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good afternoon.
Mr. Laiwola, you're welcome.
Yeah. Before I talk about the democracy...
You've not told me where you're calling from today.
I'm calling from Ijai.
Okay.
That is my location.
Yeah.
Before you talk about the democracy in Africa, we look at the constitutional aspect of it. Majority of them did not understand the constitution that brought them to the office. That is what I will say in the first place. And most of the citizens, they are not educated to the level of that democracy. If you are calculating our in the area of our illiteracies, where people are educated or people are not educated. Africa are under-educated mostly. Most of the country did not meet up. Let me give you a case of study. I'm not abusing the other part of this country. You know that the bulk of the election that is taking some people to the power, and some of them that are even voting there, they are not educated. They don't even know what that person is preparing for them in the office. And they don't even understand the government policy. They only know. Let me give you an example. I grew up in Benue State. And when David Mark became the Senate president in 1999, he told the Idoma people, that is my local government, where I grew up in local government. He said, if his wife and his children vote for him, he will become the senator of the southern part of the Benue State for the rest of his life. And to let us know, we are the follower. We are just know that we call our Okoko Ulu, we call our name, we are being a follower. We don't understand the basic of the democracy by that time. But when we begin to grow up and begin to know more things about the democracy, we begin to see that this man is only in that enjoying the democracy. Now he's not he's the member of the House of Representatives for Notupano in the local government. The same thing, this is why we are seeing that if you look at our democracy in the whole Africa, we are not educated. People that are elected and are educated, and they didn't know the value of they didn't know their constitutional rights, and they're also the ignorant of everything. That is why you see some family will rule one nation more than 60-something years, 70-something years, and it happened a lot. See what is happening in Abia State now. The son is the Speaker of the House of Assembly, that is the past governor, and the governor also is the senator, and also the member and is the former governor of the state. This is what is happening here. And the time of Obasanjo, we are talking about the Yabo Obasanjo, the senator, and his father is also a president of this country. This is the time we are talking about the youth minister now. They are talking about the state. This is what is happening in the whole of Africa now. Why the president want to appoint him a minister and want to appoint his son again? And the people also are agitating that he let his son become the minister of the sport.
Malam Nasu El-Rufai's son is actually the House Committee Chairman on Banking. He's in House of Representatives.
George Akume is the secretary to the state government. He's the member of
the House of
This is the issue here. And we are the followers, we are not educated enough. Can that thing happen in America? Can that thing happen in the Europe? That is where we are going to every day. This is the issue. Illiterate people that are not even go to the front of the newspaper. These are people that are going to vote. I'm telling you this is the reality. I grew up in Benue State. Look at our local government. Some part of our local government did not have roads. As almost 12 years to 13 years to get there, we didn't see motor in their life.
I was let me say this. I was going to Anambra sometimes last year I was going to Anambra State, and so I had to pass through Otukpo to Otukpa, and I had to pass to in front of the house of Senator David Mark, and I was telling the person we were driving together, I said, what exactly is going on? Like, you can't even access the road between Otukpo and Otukpa is cut off, and I'm like, what exactly is going on here?
You see, Abamoro you are talking about today. Abamoro is the former chairman of Opoku local government before. And he became just ignorant of the people of that area. They pushed him to become a senator. We started offering any senatorial project within that area. My mother village did not have a box, they did not have a water. They drink from the gutter water. These are the issues here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Laiwola. Let me allow the other people to have this conversation. I know today is Friday; it's supposed to be for the people, but yes, let us also allow a lot of other people to join the conversation. Hello, good evening. Okay, let me talk to Pastor Ambrose. Hello, good evening.
Good evening,
You're welcome. It's another Friday, Pastor Ambrose.
I do pray we give God the glory. At least we are still alive. You see this issue of coup. I have said it. I just sat down. Initially, I used to support this military, but I sat down. I talked to myself. Military can never be the best option.
Absolutely.
These same militaries that you see now, that their mouth is wide open, if they enter now, it will be worse. I'm telling you the gospel truth.
Of course.
See, and it is a particular section that we overthrow. I think there has been cool. Have you ever seen one particular section of the north and the south occupying the position of the head of state, except Obasanjo? And as I'm talking to you now, if they enter, it is not going to be easy. And in fact, because the leader have opened their eyes. But you see, my worry is this: when it is time to fight for democracy, we all fought for it. A lot of people died. Ambassador Musba is one of them. We know what happened to him. And when people were fighting, all the people, including the president, they relocated abroad. Do you know how many people they go down during that MK Abiola? Do you know how many people were named? It was the masses that died, that suffered. And today now, these same people, they come back, they occupy positions, and they say, go and die. It's very, very hurtful. It's very, very painful. This national cake is what can go round. And at the end of the day, they will tell you rule of law. They will tell you democracy. What is happening? Why is it that as we are speaking now, the people who have been telling us about subsidy, why can't they be fished out to return everything they have collected? What is happening? Why would they tell us our refinery cannot be free? If our refinery cannot be free, let us carry Nigeria and give it to foreigners to go back. We have people who can speak this refinery, and we have these refineries can work. I'm telling you the truth. Our light can work. Are you not aware that banking was a problem before? Somebody came in and introduced this mobile banking, and look at where we are today.
Thank you.
My worry is this. I am very, very much worried because I want Nigeria to work. 1,000 naira and $1 the same dollar con in US and 1 naira is supposed to be equivalent. You know that?
Thank you very much, Pastor Ambrose. Thank you very much. I was talking to my sister during the week, and I said, I remember when we were in school, we used to change dollar for, I think, 12,300. Yes, for $100. I think it was like 12,300. That was when dollar was 123 naira. And I'm like, now, if you hold $100, that's almost like 100,000 naira that is you're holding. Just one. I think there's a lot of responsibility ahead of Mr. Wale Edun, the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy. It's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work. And I really pray that he understands the responsibility in front of him. Read through his profile when his name was presented to the floor of the Senate, and he has a really intimidating profile, no doubt about that. So I really hope that the system would allow him to bring up some of the reforms he's been talking about. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Your name or where you calling from?
Oh, damn life from God.
Damilare from Igondo. You're welcome.
Well done. My own is just that, just like the first speaker, most of these people, they don't actually understand what they are like, the responsibility bestowed on them. Let me start by this. It's only in Nigeria that the same manifesto that a senator is having, or excuse me, is the same manifesto the governor is using. Is the same thing. It's the same expectation, and even the masses. It's the same expectation we want from senator, the same expectation we want from the governor. When the senator and the governor are using roads to campaign, what are we now saying? How many bills can we lay our hands upon that favor masses? How many bills? They will just sometimes, okay, if there is World Cup, we see our National Assembly, they will vacate, they will go on break. When World Cup is on, they will resume back. It's only in Nigeria that they can go on break anytime and resume anytime. No bill we can, and it's okay, present now, judiciary and the executive, legislative and executive, they are the same thing. And he who pays the pipe dictates the tools. The same thing with judiciary. Now, between me and you, can any judge stand up and say that President Tinubu, you are no more the president in this country?
Why not? I mean, there's a petition tribunal. We've seen governors being thrown out in this country. We've seen senators being thrown out. We've seen local government chairmen. We've seen House of Reps members, House of Assembly members. We've seen a president, lose in office. So, I mean, there's always a first time for everything. So, I really don't. Thank you very much, by the way. I'm really not comfortable, how people start to be preemptive about what is going to happen at the petition tribunal. It's really funny. I mean, the last couple of weeks, we've seen quite a lot of issues in respect to eye on the eye of the world, eye on the tribunal. And I'm like, we need to allow these people do their jobs. We need to respect, I'm trying to look for the right word now. I think we need to respect the sanity and the sanctity, yes, I think that's the right word, of the judiciary. Yes, we may have our reservations. We may have some cases, where a lot of questionable decisions and all of that, but the judiciary still remains what it is. The last hope of the common man. A lot of people may have reservations. You may think, oh, the judiciary is open, is this, is that. But man, you look at this pressure. I remember there was a time that the Chief Justice of the Federation, his picture was being, passed everywhere, that he had the meeting with the president when it was the president-elect. I mean, and I'm wondering, well, Nigerians would always have a way to protect what is ours, and we need to be very careful how we go about these things. I mean, it's a democracy that we have. It is the little that we can nurture. And you ask yourself again, if you keep constantly saying, this is in Niger, is in Gabon, Nigeria is next, you can't open, besides the fact that it's a treasonable felony, to push for coup and all of that. And hey, if you check the constitution, Mr. Man, you will be jailed for life. That's exactly what the constitution says. So beyond that, I mean, you look at how much the freedom you think you have right now to pick up your phone and call the radio station and call the president names, call the governor names. You think your freedom of... I was reading the speech by the leader of the military guys in Gabon, and I looked at the fact that he came up and he says the transition is here, and then there are all the institutions are closed down, the Senate is shut down, the House of Representatives is dismissed, the Constitution is dismissed, and I'm like, is this where we want to go back to in this country? I don't want to. I want to wake up every single day, put on this mic, increase the volume, and allow you to talk to me. That's freedom of expression. That's the freedom that the press enjoys. And guess what? That will be taken away from us. So if you're in the corner of your room and you're thinking that, oh, this kind of government is better than this kind of government, you need to think twice. You really need to think twice. Prince Wise, good evening. Put down the volume of your radio set. Okay, I think you've done that already.
Immediately. Thank you, madam. God bless you. You see, some of all that is yearning for military. Maybe some of them don't know when minister was in power. We know what we go through during a partial period. I want to say it categorically. Nigeria problem started 1966 when we had the first coup in Nigeria. Those guys who don't have experience, who they were the one who brought tribalism to this country today, religious sentiment to this country today, and they are the one who put us back today. Because when you talk of military, they don't have long-term planning for a country. So for me, you see that in 1966, when I say that they won't bring tribalism to this country, we have only two religions before. Of 1964, we have one religion making fun in this country. But they struck them. They wiped up the leader of three regions. No fly was key in one region. That is what leads Nigeria to civil war. They don't know. So the civil war we fought, we know the wahala we face today. And as it is now, nobody should talk of military. We are talking to you now. During the military period, nobody can speak in the way we are speaking now. So for me, I just want to warn the African leader. They should do one thing for themselves. Don't overstay. If you know the time to say good night, don't overstay. Know the time to say good night. You spend 40 years, family affair. That is one of the problems. Corruption is another thing again. When you are government, make sure you govern where the money of the state is not be family affair. So, okay,
thank you, Prince Wise.
In fact, we the older ones, we know what really happened. I think we start democracy before independence. We know what happened in the western region. We know what happened in the northern region. We know what happened in the eastern region. We know our Papa Wolowo. Which is today, we are still celebrating him.
Thank you, Prince Wise.
Please, let me round up. Only the mistakes they make themselves. Hello?
I'm with you.
Just a second. Only the mistake they make is 1979 that they adopt this type of democracy from America, so expensive and tailored with corruption. The one we need in this country today is parliamentary system of government.
Thank you, Prince Wise. Thank you. Let me talk to other people as well.
Let me talk. God bless you for allowing me to see what I wanted to say.
May God bless you too, and have a very good weekend. 09136000410. It's open mic Friday, and that's exactly what we do on Fridays, except on exceptional Fridays where we have to bring guests. And we've done a lot of that in the last 4 or 5 Fridays. But I need to give you today so that we can have this conversation. And let me have your thoughts. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Your name and where you calling from?
Blake.
From Bagada. It's been a while. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm still in Enugu. I'm good.
Okay. You're enjoying Enugu.
I've been what we do now. Prince Wise is talking. Prince Wise is supporting parliamentary system of government. This was a man that went haywire when it came during the election. I knew how he supported 𝐶 Bola Tinubu. He never suggested parliamentarian government for the first time.
Blade, let's talk. Leave Prince Wise. Let's talk about it. I know.
It's all right. So the issue of military coup happening all over the place. The truth of the matter is that civilian system of government is still the best. But the truth of the matter is this: are we really practicing democracy? That's the first question we should ask. As I'm concerned, we are still practicing dictatorship. We are still practicing military kind of government in Agbada. Now, if you say that if the military should take over, that people will not have freedom of speech and freedom of expression, my question is this: all the freedom of expression we've experienced in the era of democracy, tell me one single benefit we have benefited.
I have a job. That's just an light time. But I have a job.
Because of that, you are protecting.
Of course.
But the truth still remains. The truth is this: 98%. Everything we've been saying on radio and television, those men don't give a hoot. That's not the truth. They are not listening to us. I'm not saying I'm not kicking against civilian whatever.
But the truth is that we've never benefited anything. What people are interested in, let us just try another option. It's not that people love military, but the option they have now is not working. So they are saying, like, let us try another option. When you push a child to the wall, trust me, he will opt for any other option available at his disposal. Whether it is the one that is not loved in America or the one that is loved in UK, he just needs another option based on what he or she is going through now. That is why people are longing for military. That's why you see the coup everywhere, people are celebrating. You think those people are not learned. Most of them, they are learned, but still the reception with the having democracy, what is not benefiting? Let us give us military, so that when military suffocate us, we now say, okay, let the democracy come back. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you very much. 0913-600-0410. I'm seeing your messages on Facebook. Olumiwa Oludude says, I want the leadership display flagrant rape of our democracy, high-handedness, carefree attitude, and mockery of the people. This triggers democracy. Military government is a no-no for me. Let the various African presidents restructure their countries. Let the aged president resign, and let the fresh and young leaders be voted in office. Let the African president do the part of people-friendly policies, the rule of law, social justice, social infrastructures, and manpower development. Thank you so much, Oluwamuyiwa Oludode. This program is being streamed live on our Facebook, facebook.com/mainland 98.3 FM. And don't forget to also like the page and follow us so that I can get updates of all our programs. Oluwafe on Facebook says, the lazy way of changes government in Africa can't help us. We should start holding our leaders accountable instead of allowing the West to dictate for us for their selfish reasons. Okay, back to the phone line, 0913-600-0410. Hello, good evening today. Hello. Good to have you join us on the show today.
Thank you, Okpe. In fact, I'm ready for.
And sure, I saw your calls almost all through the week. Thank you. Thank you,
Okpe. Okpe, Almighty God will bless you. In fact, a lot of people already discussed a lot of things. You know, I'm 52, like where I'm telling you, we witness military. But nobody pray for military. But let me tell you something. Nigeria, we are too loose. I want government that we hold people responsible. But we can't be looking like this. People are saying a lot of things. I can't lie with you. I don't support military, but doing the military, I enjoy. I enjoy. Unless only people that like discipline, that you can't hold it. No, let me tell you something. This democracy we are starting, tell me 3 of women I enjoy. If you talk too much on it, it will go you. You don't know the way they deal with people that don't support them. Is it the kind of business thing? I talk about elections. I've been voting early. I know what is going about election. When you have election, it's so transparent. Well, I can tell you a lot of people in Mexico. If I wanted to go, they will use pandemic. So some people will just be coming out and we are telling us we are doing democracy. What are we talking about? I don't want to know whether PDP or APC is like that. My own is that Nigeria needs to get it right. All life for Nigeria. If Nigeria gets it right, all the Africa will be copying everything about Nigeria. Nobody cannot copy anything from Nigeria. Understand what's happening in Zimbabwe? See what's happening about Gabon. That's what we are doing. When they get money, we are calling everything. They will do everything as it is. We want to tell me that, what I see now, if any fellow was already done for this Nigeria. Even common policemen, what is something key for them? Go and see all the widgets around. To read now, if you can get that from the constitution, that and the secondly, we are tired of all these older people. Okay? I need new people. Young people.
On Facebook is texting us, but let me pick this call first. Hello, good evening. Hello. Oh, okay. Let me pick. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, and you?
Fine. Ogbe for Jesus from my somebody.
Ogbe for Jesus. You're welcome.
Yeah, my sister. To say the fact.
Let's get it off. My name is 𝐶𝐚𝐭𝐬𝐿 𝐶𝐿. I'm a man.
Okay, 𝐶𝐚𝐭𝐬𝐿. Sorry, man. I thought you were a woman.
No, you're welcome.
Sorry, your voice look like a woman's voice.
Yeah, let's go on.
Okay, listen. I want to ask a question. Are we really practicing democracy in Africa? Now, when a family will rule a country for something years, it's wrong. That man called for a coup. Now, look what he said, that we should make noise. We should make noise for what? That we should make noise. Let them get out of that seat. For 56 years, to run a country. Oh my God. Now, look at Cameroon. Look at Paul Biya Award. They have stayed there for years without removing. What are the ECOWAS doing? They're holding meetings. What are they saying? We are tired of democracy. We know we don't like the military, but let the military take over the whole Africa. It's wrong. A family to rule a nation for 56 years without ECOWAS intervening. Oh my God.
Thank you.
God bless you, my brother.
Thank you very much, and God bless you too. Let me quickly do this. The African leaders that have been hanging on to power, and let's start from Uganda. Yoweri Museveni had been president for 37 years. Theodore Mbasogo of Equatorial Guinea had been there for 44 years. Paul Biya of Cameroon had been the president for 48 years. Denis Nguesso of Congo had been the president for 38 years. Isiaq Afwerki of Eritrea has been there for 30 years. Paul Kagame of Rwanda had been there for 23 years. Ismail Omar Guelleh of Djibouti has been there for 24 years. I mean, Paul Biya has been president for 48 years. That's a long time. My father's firstborn is not even 48 yet. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Your name or where are you calling from?
Sorry, I called back on an issue.
Okay, quickly.
Now, all right. If somebody should rule and have a way to rule properly so that the people can benefit, I will allow the person to rule well. As in, if possible, rule forever, because the essence of leadership
is to provide good services.
Exactly. Just like that of the Rwanda president. It's an outstanding president. Even the root of a guy. These are the best Africans have ever had. Now, coming to the issue of the palliative. You see this palliative. See, let me be frank with you. People are just angry because this so-called civilian press, they know what to do, but they don't want to do it. We are a practicing military system of government. It's just the truth. Forget the cloth. We are a practicing military system of government in Africa. You know, I was traveling to Warri. I was surprised at night. Can you hear me?
I'm with you.
At night, I saw nothing less than at least 11 refiners. 11. Because when you are moving, you'll be seeing it flare. You'll be seeing the fire now. Where they are burning. Yeah, that's how you know. I saw, this was the ones I saw, 11. Imagine if we had continued, I know how many I would have counted. There are still refineries in Nigeria. Already we have it on a good note, on good information. Then in Warri, they will tell you that 80% of the diesel Nigerians use is produced in Nigeria. If not 90, it's in Nigeria. Why not support these people doing this that these people that have small refineries? Fund them so that they will do what? Start building, producing food. No, they will not support them because they have a deliberate, satanic, demonic agenda to impoverish the people. What is 5 billion naira going to do for a palliative? If they have summed this money up and even invest it on a refinery, Nigeria will be better off. I beg.
Thank you very much. Talking about what the last caller just said, I remember in our during my undergraduate days, they were going for the NAS convention in Bayelsa. We left, Accra very late, so I think we got into Bayelsa around 3 or around 2 a.m. or thereabouts. So we're heading towards the Samson Siasia Stadium for accreditation, and I think that was the first time I saw, gas flaring, and I'm like, I mean, it was in the middle of the night, and if you turn to the left, to the right, you see fire, and I'm like, what exactly is going on? And my friend was telling me those, and I'm like, okay. I think we need to be sincere with ourselves. The government at every level, at the local government level, at the state level, at the federal level, need to understand what it means to earn the trust of the people. It's very essential at this point. We can try whatever we want to do. We can make all the noise we want to make. We can agitate far as we want to do. If you don't have a leader that is intentional about development, if you don't have a leader that the moment they get into office, they forget that we've moved away from politics, now it is governance. the leader that would not share palliatives based on party affiliation, the leaders that will not make a loop-sided appointment, the leaders that will not, the moment they are leaving office or while still in office, they make sure that their son is this, their daughter is that, just to make sure that they transfer political structure down to their children and just that generational grip on the mandate of the people. That we're not going anywhere. We can endorse democracy, we can do English, we can blow all of the grammar. Until we have leaders that are intentional about fixing this country, then we're not going anywhere. Atondakayode Samuel on Facebook says it's unfair to compare the democracy of African politics, of Nigerian politics, to any of the ECOWAS member countries and the other places where there's a military takeover. The only alibi to our democracy is the attitude of some opposition who failed or refused to accept defeat easily. Okay, back to the phone lines. Hello, good evening.
Okay, good evening.
You're welcome.
Yes, my name is 𝐶𝐚𝐭𝐬𝐀𝐩𝐩
𝐒𝐡𝐚, good to have you today.
Glory be to God. Okay, I will not thank the last caller. I will not thank him enough. May God honor you, my brother. It's not of how far, how you change the government every 4 years. It's how well is the culture. That is what is matter. Nigeria, we have changed government about 10 people since changed government 10 times or 12 times since the year that they are talking about. How well is Nigeria? How well is our economy? Yeah, we are talking about 50-something years. Somebody is about wanted to cry. And one person will tell to one family, if they like, let them live for the roof of 80 years. The country is well. They are doing very well. That the economy of Gabon is better than Nigeria. I know you don't see their people. You never see their
𝐶𝐚𝐭𝐬𝐀𝐩𝐻. Okay.
You never see their people inside any aircraft saying the Japa. As a Nigerian, the Japa. I never see Gabonese living in Nigeria, running to Nigeria, but so many Nigerians in Gabon. So what this military junters will do now, they will open up the place. People will enter, scatter the place, because they scatter Libya with their democracy. So that is my point.
Thank you very much. Thank you, 𝐶𝐚𝐭𝐬𝐀𝐩𝐻. Let me read some messages. We have loads of them. The one and only cure for government intervention is good governance with public awareness on how the country is being governed. Simple and straightforward. Sam from Agudu. Thank you very much. I got your message. Hello, good evening.
Hello,
Your name?
I'm on the road, Paul.
Okay, Mr. Paul, good to have you join us.
If I may ask you, democracy, is it the best system of government all over the world? I'm asking you, please.
Well, we've seen countries that have practiced democracy and then the people are happy.
Okay. In Nigeria, are you going to say Nigerians are happy with democratic rule we have?
I remember when the late Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola died, the nation was in mourning. And I also remember when the late military dictator, General Sani Abacha, died, the nation was rejoicing. So I think that should tell us something. Go ahead, 𝐶𝐚𝐭𝐬𝐀𝐩𝐻.
Let me tell you, if there's anything happen, Nigeria will rejoice. The politicians don't want democracy to flourish. Look, let me tell you, if you don't like a peaceful change, you prepare for violent change. That is it. That's what happened in Gabon. But here, governors are laws. Local government are not functioning. Nothing. President is no God with a small letter G. EFCC now to me is no longer functioning. Maybe power step on toes. Is that democracy? If I ask you, local government, look at how they are genuflecting that the man said one thing. How they found it, all of them rose against him. Is that democracy? I know I'm saying this because they have been telling us this and that. If you do this, you go to jail. during military. We don't call. If there were no as if during military, all the radio stations were closed. Tell me what you have achieved. Most of the things you are doing today, give it to you by the military.
Thank you,
For
Chief
me, military is
𝐻𝐻𝐿.
aberration. To me. But when these people refuse to allow democracy to flourish, because let me tell you, there's a lot of restiveness in Nigeria today. Engage other people, not politicians. Only APC supporters that will tell you all is well, this and that.
Thank you, Chief 𝐻𝐻𝐿. Thank you.
And the ones who cannot hold them responsible accountable.
Let's talk to other people as well.
Another will happen.
Thank you.
We should be very, very careful in this country.
Thank you very much. 𝐷𝐸𝐻𝐻 in Mushin is saying democracy is still the best form of government. Anybody that witnessed the Abacha regime would never pray for military government. Thank you, 𝐷𝐸𝐻𝐻 from Mushin. Dayo Dada on Facebook is saying, I want to ask, are we doing democracy in Nigeria? The election that took place in Lagos, both the presidential and the governorship, is that an election where there were intimidation and vote buying, where journalists were attacked, police looked the other way, INEC disenfranchised many voters by getting their voters card, and also look at the EndSARS. The rulers are above the law. Is that democracy? If the judiciary just doesn't get it right, like Dele Farotimi said, one day they would allow MC Oluomo to be governor in Lagos using the formula of their master to enter power. It's a shame. Okay. Thank you very much, Dayo Dada. My last call for the day and for the week. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, that were begging military to come and take over. We have some people like that now here. But by God's grace, something like that is going to be a utopian dream for anybody to take over the military, to take over this country. Most of the places that this is happening are Francophone country, and it's a fundamental problem. It's so fundamental that, look, even in Nigerians, we are not safe from the westernization, from the imperialism. We only have political independence, and economically we are not dependent. So how can we make the best of what we have? That's what we should be saying. And we are far better. Most of the problem of these people are having, they were envying Nigeria. We are progressing. If you don't know that we are progressing, we are progressing. Things might be hard, yes. It's at the back of a result of a bad leadership that we're having right from the back. If our leader can stand and do the right thing, we have the best democracy and will protect this democracy.
Thank you,
if anybody is
Abubakar.
thinking of military, they should go and sleep. Not in this life again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I also totally subscribe to the thought of my last caller. If anyone is thinking of the military in this country, it would never happen, not in this lifetime and not in the next. I want to enjoy my freedom. I want to enjoy my right to association, even though the military gave us the constitution that we're having right now. Like the last caller said, we don't have a perfect democracy, but as bad as it looks, it's still the best we can afford. Okay, well done. God will continue to bless you. Do we have a good leader that can have mercy on the masses? The African leaders are selfish leaders. Look at Paul Biya that you're talking about. Let the army. Okay, no. Daniel from 𝐴𝐴, I got your message, but of course.